Right now, as you're watching this, there's a quiet tension in your chest you can't explain, a pull towards someone that feels dangerous, unfinished, and deeply familiar. That feeling isn't imagination, it's fear wrapped around desire. And if you've ever wondered why two people can feel everything and still say nothing, listen carefully. Before we go any further, if you want honest psychology, not dating myths, take a second to subscribe and like this video. It tells the algorithm to keep bringing you the truth most people are afraid to hear. I'm speaking to you as a psychologist, but also as a woman who understands what it means to feel deeply and hide it well. One of the strongest signs you both are already in love but terrified of it is emotional mirroring without confession. You notice how your moods sync. When you pull back, she pulls back. When you open up slightly, she responds in ways that feel almost scripted, yet nothing is ever named. This isn't coincidence. It's two nervous systems attuned to each other, both waiting for safety before surrender. Fear doesn't erase love, it delays it. And when love is delayed, it leaks out sideways. She may tease you instead of compliment you. She may challenge you instead of soften. You might joke instead of confess. Underneath that behavior is a shared, unspoken agreement. If neither of us says it, neither of us has to risk losing control. That's not emotional immaturity. That's self-protection shaped by past wounds. Another powerful sign is the way silence feels heavy, not empty. When you don't talk, you think about her more. When she doesn't hear from you, she feels it in her body. There's an awareness that distance doesn't bring relief, it brings tension. Two people who don't care feel free when there's space. Two people in love but afraid feel restless. Your mind searches for meaning in small actions because the truth feels too big to touch. Here's the part most men miss. When a woman is afraid to love but already does, she watches you closely for emotional leadership, not dominance. Safety. Can you handle intensity without running? Can you stay grounded when things get real? Your consistency matters more than your words. Love doesn't need pressure, it needs permission. And fear dissolves when one person is brave enough to stay present instead of protected with quiet confidence. The second sign lives in contradiction, and it confuses men more than almost anything else. You feel close, then suddenly distant. Warmth appears, then vanishes. Conversations feel intimate one moment and guarded the next. This isn't manipulation, it's fear colliding with attachment. When two people are already emotionally bonded but terrified of what that bond could cost them, connection becomes a push and pull reflex. As a psychologist, I see this pattern constantly. As a woman, I understand it deeply. When a woman has feelings she hasn't decided are safe yet, she regulates closeness like a thermostat. She lets herself feel you, then panics. Not because of you, but because of what loving you might awaken inside her. Old losses, old mistakes, old versions of herself she worked hard to survive. So she pulls back just enough to breathe again. What makes this mutual fear so intense is that you do the same thing, just differently. You hold back words, you delay clarity, you keep options open, not because you want others, but because certainty feels like exposure. You both sense the emotional gravity growing, and neither wants to be the first to fall. So instead of moving forward together, you orbit each other, close enough to feel the pull, far enough to avoid impact. Pay attention to how conflict behaves between you. Real disinterest avoids conflict entirely. But when there's unspoken love, even small misunderstandings feel charged. A delayed reply feels personal. A change in tone feels loaded. You care more than you admit, and that caring scares you. Fear heightens perception. That's why every interaction feels meaningful, even when nothing big happens. Another subtle behavior is delayed honesty. She almost tells you things, then stops. You sense there's more beneath her words. This isn't dishonesty, it's emotional triage. She's testing whether you can hold her truth without demanding more than she's ready to give. And you, knowingly or not, are testing the same thing in her. Here's the truth most men aren't told. When two people are afraid to love but already do, the relationship feels unfinished, not broken. There's tension, not emptiness, curiosity, not boredom, and underneath all of it is a quiet hope that someone will finally be brave enough to name what both already feel. Bravery doesn't mean forcing a confession. It means emotional steadiness. It means not punishing distance with withdrawal and not chasing closeness with pressure. Fear softens in the presence of calm certainty. And when fear softens, love no longer has to hide. There's another sign that almost no one talks about because it hides behind logic and restraint. You both over-rationalize your connection. You explain it away as timing, circumstance, practicality, or bad history. You tell yourself it wouldn't work, that it's complicated, that now isn't right. And yet, no matter how reasonable those explanations sound, your emotions don't follow them. That's because fear speaks the language of logic when it wants to stay in control. When a woman is already emotionally invested but afraid to love, she becomes careful with meaning. She downplays moments that matter. She pretends things are casual, even when they feel anything but. Not to deceive you, but to protect herself from the weight of hope. Hope is dangerous when you've been disappointed before, so she keeps it small, contained, manageable. You do something similar, but it often shows up as emotional restraint. You hold back intensity. You don't ask certain questions. You avoid naming the connection because once it's named, it becomes real, and real things can be lost. This mutual avoidance creates a strange intimacy where you know each other deeply but never fully step inside the truth. Notice how your conversations drift toward the personal late at night. Vulnerability sneaks in when defenses are tired. She shares a fear, a memory, a part of herself she doesn't show others. Then the next day, she's slightly more guarded. That retreat isn't rejection. It's her recalibrating after getting closer than she planned. Emotional closeness feels intoxicating and terrifying at the same time. Another subtle behavior is protective distance. She might encourage you to date others or joke about you meeting someone else, even though it clearly bothers her. This is fear disguised as generosity. If she convinces herself you're free, she doesn't have to confront how deeply she already cares. And if you play along, you're both avoiding the same truth from opposite sides. Here's the psychological core of this pattern. Fear of love isn't fear of connection. It's fear of loss. It's fear of becoming someone who needs. And need feels dangerous when independence once kept you safe. So love gets delayed, softened, diluted into something that feels safer, even though it hurts more over time. If you're experiencing this, understand something important. You don't break fear by arguing with it. You dissolve it by being emotionally consistent, calm, grounded, not reactive. When someone senses that closeness won't cost them their stability, their defenses begin to relax. And when defenses relax, the truth no longer needs to hide behind logic. Another sign appears in the way attention becomes selective and intense, yet carefully disguised. She notices details about you she has no reason to remember. Your tone changes, your energy shifts, the small habits you never announced. But when you catch her noticing, she quickly downplays it, laughs it off, acts casual. That awareness isn't accidental. Attention is one of the purest currencies of emotional investment. And when it's hidden, it's usually because the cost of being seen caring feels too high. You feel it too. You're more attuned to her than you admit. You sense when something is off before she says a word. You replay conversations, analyze pauses, read between lines. This isn't obsession. It's emotional bonding without permission. When two people are afraid to love, they become silent observers of each other's inner worlds, gathering information instead of making moves. Watch how compliments behave between you. They're indirect, backhanded, wrapped in humor or critique. She might tease your confidence while clearly admiring it. You might comment on her independence while clearly valuing her warmth. Direct praise feels risky because it exposes desire. Indirect praise feels safer because it gives you an exit if the vulnerability isn't returned. There's also a unique tension in physical or emotional proximity. When you're close, it feels charged. Time moves differently. Conversations deepen without effort. But afterward, there's often a slight withdrawal. Not coldness, but containment. As if both of you are silently saying, "That felt like too much, too fast." This rhythm of closeness and retreat is fear trying to regulate intensity. A woman hiding deep feelings often tests emotional safety in subtle ways. She may challenge your boundaries, question your consistency, or gently provoke reactions. Not to create drama, but to see how you handle emotional pressure. Can you stay steady without becoming distant? Can you stay present without becoming overwhelming? These moments matter more than grand gestures. Here's what most men misunderstand. When fear is present, reassurance doesn't come from words alone. It comes from regulated behavior, from showing that you don't collapse into anxiety when things feel uncertain, that you don't disappear when closeness appears. Emotional maturity creates safety without demanding it. If you recognize this pattern, understand that love is already operating beneath the surface. What's missing isn't feeling, it's courage. And courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like staying grounded, honest, and emotionally available without forcing outcomes. When one person models safety, the other slowly stops hiding, and what was once subtle becomes undeniable. There's a fifth sign that's almost invisible unless you know exactly what to look for. It's in the small, seemingly random acts of care that come with a hesitation, moments where she goes out of her way for you, but then quickly retreats, as if afraid you'll notice how much it matters. She might remember something important you casually mentioned weeks ago, or check in at a time that seems insignificant, but is actually meaningful. And when you express gratitude or notice it, she brushes it off, pretending it was nothing. That brush off? That's fear whispering, "Don't let them see the depth of this." You do the same thing. You might buy her favorite coffee on a random morning, or send a text that shows you're thinking of her in a way that feels bold, but then you stop yourself from saying more, from showing the full extent of what you feel. That restraint is a protective reflex. Both of you are afraid to fully claim your feelings, because once claimed, there's no turning back. The tension is amplified in moments of vulnerability. She'll let small cracks show in her composure, a sigh too long, a momentary glance that lingers, a hesitation before she speaks. You catch it, and when you reach to bridge the gap, she subtly pulls back. That hesitation is fear speaking louder than words. She wants connection, but she also fears the potential pain of exposure. Another hidden behavior is testing boundaries in playful or indirect ways. She'll challenge you in ways that reveal what matters to her, subtly questioning your opinions, teasing your habits, or pushing for honesty in safe, controlled doses. These tests aren't games. They are silent probes, a way of saying, "I want to trust you, but I need to be sure it's safe." And if you respond with consistency and calm, she gradually lowers the walls she's built around her emotions. Here's the truth most men overlook. When two people are already afraid to love but cannot deny it, these micro moments of attention, hesitation, and testing become the invisible dialogue of the relationship. Words are scarce, but actions are loud. Emotional presence, steady, patient, non-demanding, speaks more powerfully than confessions or declarations. Recognize this pattern, and you begin to see that what appears like inconsistency or mixed signals is not indecision, it's protection. Love is already alive, pulsing beneath the surface, waiting for courage to allow it to breathe openly. Your patience, steadiness, and awareness become the subtle keys that unlock what fear is desperately trying to hide. If you want, I can continue now with Section 6, keeping the same emotionally charged, psychologically precise style. Do you want me to proceed? There's a sixth sign that most men completely miss because it hides behind humor and casual conversation. She laughs at things that aren't funny, teases you relentlessly, or makes sarcastic remarks that feel sharper than necessary. But there's a tenderness in her tone you can't ignore. That contradiction is telling. Fear disguises love as playfulness, because love without protection feels dangerous. It's easier to joke than to admit longing, easier to tease than to confess. You do it too, even if in subtler ways. Maybe you hide compliments inside challenges or show care through teasing rather than vulnerability. This mirroring creates a unique rhythm between two people already emotionally attached but terrified of exposure. Both of you are testing the waters, measuring reactions, gauging safety, all while avoiding the direct risk of saying what you actually feel. Another hidden behavior appears in attentiveness to small emotional shifts. She notices when your energy dips, your mood changes, or when something weighs on your mind. She might ask subtle questions or offer support indirectly, and then retreat if her gestures go unacknowledged. That retreat is fear again, afraid of overstepping, afraid of revealing too much, afraid of being vulnerable in a space that feels uncertain. Pay attention to the way proximity affects her behavior. When she's physically or emotionally close, her gestures may become more intentional yet restrained. She might touch your arm briefly, lean in just a little, or maintain eye contact longer than usual, and then pull back as if reminding herself to maintain distance. That tension between closeness and withdrawal is a signature of someone who already feels deeply but is guarding herself against the possible consequences of love. There's also a pattern in consistency. She may reach out irregularly, but every contact carries emotional weight. She doesn't need to communicate constantly. She just needs moments that feel meaningful, even fleeting. And if you respond in kind, she recognizes safety, gradually allowing more intimacy in small doses. This is how fear yields to trust. Here's the harsh truth most men don't realize. The more she hides her feelings, the stronger they are. Fear amplifies attraction, intensifies attention, and deepens emotional resonance. And when both of you are afraid to love but cannot deny it, these subtle dances, teasing, careful care, small gestures, measured closeness, become the language of an unspoken, undeniable connection. Courage in this stage doesn't mean rushing confession or forcing intensity. It means staying present, emotionally steady, and consistently available without demanding proof. When one person models safety, fear slowly gives way to honesty, and the love you both have been avoiding begins to surface without the need for dramatic declarations. Now, we arrive at the seventh sign, the one that ties all the others together but is almost invisible unless you're truly paying attention. It's in the tension between desire and restraint, the silent acknowledgement that exists without words. You both know there's something real, yet neither of you openly claims it. That hesitation, that careful balance, is not indifference. It's fear guarding a love that has already taken root. She may say things that sound casual but carry hidden meaning. A "don't worry about me" hides concern. A "go do your thing" hides longing. A simple text asking about your day can feel like a lifeline because it's her way of staying connected without exposing her heart fully. She's learning how to navigate the territory between wanting and risking, and you, consciously or not, do the same. You both hold back because once love is named, there's no turning back. Another subtle indicator is the way she invests in moments that feel inconsequential. She remembers what you like to drink, the small details about your routines, the offhand comments you make in passing, and then she lets it slip naturally into conversation. These small gestures aren't casual, they're quiet acts of devotion, carefully camouflaged to avoid showing vulnerability. And if you pay attention, you mirror her behavior, revealing your own hidden feelings in tiny, careful ways. There's also an intensity in the things left unsaid. Unspoken boundaries, suppressed confessions, paused silences. These create a psychological gravity that pulls both of you toward clarity without forcing it. Every look, every half smile, every brief touch is loaded with meaning. The absence of words becomes louder than speech. Fear can't mask the truth when it's written into your body language, your attention, your energy. Here's the psychological reality most men never hear. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes love is the quiet rhythm beneath hesitation, the subtle dance of approach and retreat, the careful, restrained gestures that reveal everything while saying nothing. When both people are afraid to love but already do, every interaction becomes a test, a conversation, a delicate negotiation between heart and fear. The breakthrough happens when one person chooses courage over caution, not by demanding confession, not by pressuring for clarity, but by consistently showing presence, calm, and emotional steadiness. When that happens, fear loses its power, and the hidden love you've both been protecting finally steps into the light. You realize it wasn't timing, it wasn't coincidence, it wasn't too complicated. It was just fear. Fear of loving and losing, fear of being vulnerable. And now, with patience and awareness, that fear can finally soften, letting the love you've both been hiding fully emerge.